North Carolina Museum of History and the second annual Education Day in conjunction with our African American Cultural Celebration, which is in its 22nd year. Our presenter, Chef Eric Marshall, will begin in just a moment, but we want to share a few notes with you first. Remember to ask questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to share them with Chef and have him respond. We thank the following sponsors of the North Carolina Museum of History Foundation, helping to make this event possible. Chef Eric Marshall is a recent champion of Food Network show Chopped, and he's a private chef. He shares how the kitchen was the hub of his home growing up in North Carolina. Welcome, Chef. We're so glad you're here today. What are you sharing with us?
Hello, I am Chef Eric, like it was announced, Chop Champion, private chef, celebrity chef, cook for multiple celebrities like Tyrese, and the most important people I cook for is the people that I love. So with that, today, what we're going to be having is like when you go to a carnival, you go somewhere, everyone loves funnel cakes. And I feel like breakfast is one of the big staples in the household. So this is going to be a pancake, a maple syrup pancake funnel cake with a banana foster. And with the banana foster, we're not going to be using real rum because I don't need kids going into the cabinets and be like, Mom, I don't need a little spirit with this. But we're going to use a rum extract. So today, that is what we're going to begin with. And of course, you need your pancake mix. And you can use any pancake mix. This is a buttermilk one. And I'm going to be using it, putting everything inside this measuring cup, actually, because it's going to be easier for me and less mess. But one thing we definitely want to do is get the oil going. It says use butter for most things, but I'm going to use coconut oil because this will make things a little bit healthier for people and me. So what you want to do really is kind of coat the bottom because it's going to be like a light fry that we're going to be doing with the pancakes, the funnel cake pancakes. So this is actually going to be something very fun and can make anywhere with the family. Let's make sure. There we go. So we got the pancake mix, a little bit of water. There's a certain consistency that we're going to be looking for. And I'm using the fork because it gives us space to move everything around in here. Usually you use a mixing bowl and have a whisk. This is going to be quite simple and fun to do. So we got that going. So to make it already sweet and delicious, we're using this pure maple syrup. I love maple syrup in my pancakes. Some people just use regular syrup, but this maple just adds a whole nother element of flavor to me. And we're making it real mapley. So we're gonna stir it in there, try to figure out what the consistency is that we want. Because we want it kind of thick so it can float when it gets into the frying pan. So I'm gonna add a tad bit more pancake mix. And with this, there's so many possibilities because you can make pancake sticks. I'm gonna do a couple examples for you. This is gonna be beautiful because you know why? Because I did it yesterday. Because I always have to test before I do it. And it was delicious. So I'm actually gonna pour the contents into this bottle because it makes it a whole lot easier.
Chef, this reminds us, author Kelly Starling Lyons was here a while ago, and she said this kind of cooking was called dump cooking because there's no measuring.
Oh, yeah. You know, when we grew up in the kitchen, you didn't see your mom or your dad, mainly the mom in the kitchen, using like any measurements because you just knew what it was going to be like, it was going to taste like already. And but working in a restaurant like I do occasionally and working for clients and just to give consistency, we had to start giving exact measurements so it can be consistent, the flavor all the time. Because when you go to a restaurant, you want to have that same flavor, that same texture every single time. Because you go to a restaurant, it's like, this is not the same thing. So now we do measurements. But when you go home, if you come to my house, yeah, I'm eyeballing it and it's still going to be perfection. So now we have everything in a bottle, and now we just basically create a circle or a design for our pancakes. Oh, it's beautiful already. And this
Getting
does not take that long at all, actually. And what it does with this method, it's going to be nice and crisp because it's going to be like a real fun cake, but you're going to have that maple flavor inside. So it's going to take like roughly 1 minute on each side, and it's going to be delicious. Even that, if that, but you don't want the heat like all the way up. You just want to give a nice little middle ground. And you can tell if you look at the bottom, or you can even feel that it's getting more crispy. This is ready to flip. You get brownness. Look at the brownness. That's going to be crunchy. It's going to be just delicious. And then we add the banana foster to it. This is going to be like one of the meals you want: breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner. This is something that is very creative. And I actually saw someone else do it before. And I was like, that's a good idea. Because realistically, no one almost creates things from the beginning. It's always a cycle of life. And this is what the first one looks like. It's golden brown, going to be magnificently delicious. You know what I'm trying to say. We're going to do two of them.
How old were you when you started cooking?
Uh, so initially, I would say I was about 7 or 8 when I really got in the kitchen cooking. And when I say cooking, these are more like ramen noodles and hot dogs to start with, because you can't just start with the big stuff. But like ramen noodles and hot dogs, and then it was one day I remember I was making some ramen noodles. We all know it come with the little packet, but I was like, I want a different flavor with my ramen noodles because it's always chicken. You know. So I went to the cabinet, and then that was just a whole blessing. I was like, I can do this in any flavor I want. So that's exactly what I did. I changed the flavor of what I had in my ramen noodles, and I was like, oh, I can do this all by myself. But hot dogs and ramen noodles was my beginning. And then I was able to branch out more. I was able to see what my mom was doing in the kitchen, see what my grandmother was doing in the kitchen, because the thing that we all know is that the kitchen is like the hub of the home. When you go into the kitchen, especially when someone's cooking, you're in there smelling, hitting all your senses, you're seeing what they're doing, and you always want to congregate with whoever's in the kitchen and what they're doing in the kitchen. So it's like this is like the gathering spot, like a real gathering spot. You talk about your whole life, you talk about basically your whole life, relationships, uh, your grades, any and everything. This one is perfect as well. I'm actually going to do one more, but these are going to be the sticks that I was talking about. And these are like fun and easy. So these are really like handheld pancakes. I'm pretty sure you can already see what I'm talking about, what's happening, because you're getting this whole row and it's going to be crispy on the inside. And when you see it bubbling like this, that's the air pockets. It's ready to turn over. And that's what we're going to do. I have chef hands, so I mean, I almost have no filling, so don't touch the oil like I do. It's like Do what I say, not what I do. But yeah, you can see these sticks are coming out perfectly. And where we're going to start now is actually the banana foster. So the banana foster, it's like a sweet, glazy type of dessert that goes on top of like ice cream. I mean, with ice cream, but we're going to do it with our our funnel cakes. So you usually use butter. Once again, I like to be a bit healthy, not all the way healthy. I like to be a bit healthy. So we're getting our butter in there. We're going to let that melt down. These are almost done. Look at this. Now, these are the sticks that I'm talking about. It's just something delicious you can just pick up and just eat. It's too hot right now, but I will eat in front of your face and show you because I have to give an example because the chef tastes everything. So we can turn this one off. Get the banana foster ready. And this is going to be at a like a medium high heat as well because everything that's going in here is we have our dark brown sugar, which is going to go inside. And it's usually butter, but like I said, we're going to be using coconut oil because we want this to dissolve a little bit. And this is me eyeballing everything. But if you do want the recipe, I can definitely have it on my website or share it. I got to get this up to temp.
They want to know if that's light or dark brown sugar.
This is dark brown sugar, actually. So this is it's more so of a sweet type of dessert, the banana foster. And I love bananas. Everyone doesn't like bananas, but when it's candied too. And the bananas I'm using are not all the way ripe. So it's not going to have a bunch of sweetness. So it's going to be a nice little balance. The riper the banana, the sweeter it is. So what you do is get all the ingredients in first. So I got the brown sugar. I'm going to use rum extract instead of regular rum because we don't need people getting tipsy today. And then we have cinnamon. When this is finished, you're really going to love me.
Do you
So what's
create your own
happening is,
recipes?
one more time?
I apologize. Do you create your own recipes?
I do. So what I do, I call my kitchen my lab. And that's because I am always in there trying new things because I'm a creative. So before I was a chef, I was a system engineer. That means I was behind the desk all the day, every day, working with computers, working with servers. But I was always thinking about cooking. And the one thing I love about food and cooking is that you can be as creative as you want to be, as long as you're pairing the flavors right, and you're not testing on your real loved ones. You can test with your associates or friends, be like, hey, taste this. And then when you get it down packed, you can have everyone else try it. But I love just tasting and trying the different recipes. And one thing about me, I actually dream about different recipes. And when I dream about these recipes, I wake up in the middle of the night sometime and just go straight to the kitchen and test it out. And it is unbelievable the things that can come to you in your dreams, especially if it's your passion. And I found out that cooking was my passion, and that's why I left my job being an engineer to become a chef because it's really what I wanted to do. So, like even at young ages now, you can figure out kind of what you like, and not have people just tell you like this is what you should be, blah blah blah. Like even in life now with adults, you can follow your passion and just do it on the side and until you get comfortable with doing it, as long as you're making some type of progress in your life with it. Because what I found out also is that cooking actually brought me a lot of peace of mind. Next thing we're going to do is throw in some chopped walnuts, kind of caramelize it a little bit, and then bananas. So one thing people may not know, I always open my bananas this way. It's much easier for me. We're going to do two bananas actually. But bananas, they actually split evenly three ways. If you put your finger down the middle, come up one side, this is one portion of a banana. Then you open it this way, three even pieces. So sometimes it does cut back on cutting a banana. So just finger down the middle, and it'll just automatically separate into the three pieces. And this actually does not have to be in there a massive amount of time, just for it to get coated, really. And then the most magnificent part is the plating. Because you know we all eat with our eyes first. I'm gonna put a little bit more coconut oil. But yes, I do recommend everyone just to figure out what your passion is. And even if you're just doing it as a hobby, it's it should bring you joy and comfort and the peace of mind that you need in a daily stressful life that we all sometimes have. Oh yeah, it is definitely coming together.
Do you eat breakfast for dinner?
Um, I really don't go with the guidelines of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When I'm hungry, I'm going to eat what I want to eat, and it's okay to do that. But there are some things that you need to get starting your day. Like I have a smoothie in the morning for the most part. Everyone can't have my eating habits because I eat realistically every other day, and that's just part of my training and what I'm doing with my life. But you can have breakfast anytime you want if your parents say it's okay to. So this is our first funnel cake, and we're going to do these in layers. So this is done because it doesn't take long. It's softened up. You don't want it to be mushy, mushy, but we're just going to layer some of the bananas. This is like caramelization right there. That's from the brown sugar that we had. This layer, and the bananas are nice and soft to eat. I'm just going to do four on each. And with each layer, you get a little powdered sugar. And then the next.
The comments right now are, ooh, yum.
Oh yes. We like oohs and yums. There we have it. And then, and this is only if you like nuts. If you have allergies, clearly do not use any nuts. But we're going to sprinkle that on top. And then even for presentation purposes, it's going to go around. For some reason, people like to see food spilling over, especially breakfasts. There we go. And of course, make it snow. just to get a little bit. So it's going to be like a coconut oil. It's almost like it's a healthy alternative to butter. Coconut oil is. And my friends, there we have it. Now this was very, very simple to make, and these are the little crunches of banana. I'm at the pancake, and I'm gonna do it. I don't know if you can hear that crunch, but this is so delicious and it's easy. It's like it's almost you can put them like in a little bowl and be on the go with it. This is delicious. Un momento, si tu play.
She'll be right back.
Okay. Or would you be able to see me? So we are back. But this is a very delicious, delectable, easy breakfast to make. With a real banana Foster, there's a thing called a flambe, which is the rum is going to hit the heat, and for the alcohol, it's going to give like this little flame, and it's a beautiful, beautiful presentation. But we just use the rum extract. But this is something delicious. This is something that I would probably not probably will serve in a restaurant for like brunch or breakfast. And if you have the ambition or the will to cook, there's a wealth of knowledge out there. A lot of things, one thing that people don't know, a lot of people don't know, is that I'm self-taught. That means you just learn it on your own. We have YouTube, we have Google, it's even on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, wherever you want to learn something. And it don't even have to be cooking by itself. It can be anything that you want to do, like interior design, whatever your passion is, or whatever you have an interest in. The knowledge is out there, and you can do it, and you can perfect it on your own with your friends. Have taste testers, or just get people input. And one thing about following your passion, if it's not something that's in school, and this is a guide in life as well, be able to take constructive criticism. Because there's a time when I just first started cooking, and I thought my food was just amazing, and people were like, "It's okay." I was like, "Well, you don't have great taste buds." Really, it was me. I had to redefine myself, take the constructive criticism, because the people that care about you are really out there to help you to propel and just do better with yourself and what you want to do. And that's why you have to sometimes take this criticism and not take it to heart. Take it with a grain of salt. Be like, okay, the it wasn't sweet enough, or it wasn't that savory, it wasn't this, wasn't that. Just take that criticism and just elevate what you're already doing, because the goal is for you to be the best at what you want to be. Like even for me, I take constructive criticism, but I also listen to a multitude of people, because everyone have different taste buds. So everyone's palate is not going to be the exact same all the time. So even with your journey, everyone is not going to like what you're doing, but the people that do, then that's who you cater to. And even when I was transitioning from being an engineer to a chef, some people were like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because you didn't go to school for this, or it's not your real job, or you're good at being IT. Just stick to your lane or where you're at." But if you have that passion, that drive, and it's what you want to do, don't let anyone discourage you. Just keep going forward with what you want to do with your life. And I'm going to tell you, you may lose friends and all that, because they see you in a different light or want you to do a certain thing. But do it for you. Don't do it for your friends. And I'm not saying quit your job, but like I was saying before, it can be a hobby. You can just work at it gradually until you get to that point, until you get to that comfort level of where you want to be in your life, and that new job, because we're evolving people. We change yearly and daily, you're not the same person you were a year ago because you're evolving. Your interests change, all that. So some people can see you, oh no, this is you, this is what you do. But no, you feel in yourself like, I want to take this route. This is why people change jobs, people change schools, people change careers, because you grow, you evolve into your better self and who you want to be. And me, I evolved into being a chef, and I'm happier because I'm a person that I love to talk to people. I love to be creative. Me sitting at a desk all day wasn't doing that, even though I love troubleshooting. Something else I love to do. But I troubleshoot with food now because something didn't taste good before. Let me troubleshoot, let me fix it, let me see, let me add a little saffron, some more salt, whatever. And now I have my own seasoning line. So whatever you do, you can almost piggyback and just keep going. I have a seasoning line called Slap and Seasoning. So growing up in the South, in North Carolina, even like in Maryland, as kids, sometimes we would do something, and our parents, mom usually, boy, I'll slap the taste out of your mouth. They're not really doing it, and I don't think it's like humanly possible. I might have saw it on TV, but what my seasoning is, it's called slapping. My objective is to slap the taste back in your mouth because this is like a all-purpose, everything seasoning. It enhances the flavor of everything that you want to eat. But going back to the point, follow your dreams, make it happen. So, like me, when I do these speaking engagements, I tell people, you know, just go for what you want to do, make it happen, and manifest. Manifest what you want and speak it into existence. But the most important part of all of this is putting in the work. Because a lot of people say that they want to do this and do that, or I want to be like him or be like that, but you do not know the journey that it took to get there. And sometimes it's going to be highs, sometimes it's going to be lows, but just focus on what you want. There's one thing I say too is trouble don't last always. You may be in a bind at this moment or might have been in one and coming out, but we know that trouble don't last always. The way that we function and to make us better human beings is to keep moving, just keep going. When things happen to us, the world does not stop. It keeps going. You can look around and be like, oh my God, I lost my job, or I got a bad grade. You look around, everyone is still living their lives. So from there, you just figure out what you do to make it better or what you can do to get out of the bind that you're in. Just try to be optimistic and just keep looking forward. And that's what I've done. And it's helped me. And people see me now and be like, oh, he's a chop champion. One thing you don't know, I used to be homeless before. I lost everything before. And this is because, make bad life decisions. And this is part of living. We make these decisions and then we recoup from it. Don't harbor on the bad situations too long. Just keep going. Even in school, you're getting these bad grades. All right, what can I do to get better grades? Mom, I need a tutor. Dad, I need a tutor. Or read ahead sometime. Like, all right, I need to get a better understanding because what you do now can really dictate what your future is going to be. And that's even as adults. Just whatever we're doing now, however we want our path to be, is going to dictate what we want. We speak it, we see it, and we put in the work. So that's food for thought. See what I did there? So, do we have any questions?
Yes, Chef, people want to know if there's a particular dish that makes you think of your family.
Oh, so actually, pancakes. It really makes me think of my grandmother. So my father, he was in the military, and we traveled all over. I don't really have a home because the military takes you overseas. I graduated high school in Germany, but whenever I came back to my grandmother's house, she would call pancakes cookies. And we knew what it was because at first we're like, cookies, that's not a cookie, that's a pancake. But later on, it's like, okay, this is the country talking. So every morning, every single morning that we were there, because my dad had to go to Iraq and fight in the war. and we were kids. And every single morning, she would make us pancakes. It would permeate throughout the house, everywhere. So it's usually like pancakes, eggs, and sausage. But my grandmother made the best pancakes ever. The edges were perfectly crispy, nice and soft on the inside. And then we'll put this, I don't know if people still use it, but we used to put molasses on there, and it's like this thick syrup. But molasses on it, I can see her doing everything right now. But pancakes is one of the things that reminds me of my grandmother. She passed a couple years ago, but that really, really gets me. Oh, and my aunt, she used to make this beautiful potato bread. I still don't have the recipe yet, but oh my God. When she made the potato bread, I hardly ate anything else. I could really take that whole tray and go hide in the closet and eat that potato bread. But I have to find that recipe because I would definitely name it after her. But yes, and I think food actually triggers, in a good way, different memories and responses because it's hitting that sense. Like if you walk in the house, be like, even like with perfumes and everything, men, women, like, oh my God, my dad used to wear that, or my mom used to wear that, or I remember this happened. Smells really triggers different responses in your life, and food is a great one.
So tell us, this is the History Museum. So do you ever research the history of particular foods or recipes?
I do, and I research history on different people. So I'm an actor as well. So a lot of people don't know. There's this guy, black man. He was in Kansas. His name was John Young. John Young. He didn't really get a bunch of credit for, it, but he actually created buffalo wings, like the sauce for buffalo wings. You're gonna see this come out sometime this year. I'm on the show called Food That Built America, but I portrayed John Young, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but if you Google him, you'll see that in Kansas he created buffalo wings, like the whole sauce for it, and it was just because someone wanted it one day. Like, oh, what am I gonna do? And he's in there putting mangoes and all this. It took him a while to make it, but I do research history of where things come from, and I'm actually shooting a film now too. I travel around the world, but recently I was in Alaska last year shooting this show. But one of the main things is to highlight Black history. So a lot of people don't know there's a lot of Black history in Alaska. They're like, oh, it's cold out there. Why are we out there? But we're out there. It could be because of military, gold rush, but there was also a base, a unit on a base in Alaska that was a black um, a black unit, all black unit. So when I was out there, I was learning a bunch of the history, how people survived and why they're out there, even with being the sun being out for 24 hours and then it'd be dark for 24 hours with different seasons. But I do try to research and study because I like to give the history of all the dishes or most of the dishes that I come across. And there's so many, like even the spices. Spices come from like all over the world, but we use it to bring a cohesive dish together. So yes, I do study. I know that was a long answer, but yes.
That was a wonderful answer, and it touched on a lot of things that people are asking about. But a really important question is you talked about transitioning from one career to another. So, but what was it about cooking? I mean, you weren't content just to be a home cook. You had to go and make this your
Oh,
career. So, what was your inspiration for that?
so when I perfect something or I feel like I'm perfecting something, I definitely want everyone else to taste it or see what I'm doing or feel what I'm doing. Because when I cook, I put love in it, and I want people to feel that love and that joy from what I'm doing. So me sitting at a desk and just going through servers and building applications and pushing them out, updating servers, all that technical stuff, it wasn't doing it for me because I am uh, an extrovert coming to be an introvert, but I am an extrovert. So I like talking to people. I like getting out there. So when I'm cooking, when someone's eating your food, and this can be for anybody, and they'll be like, oh my God, this is so good. And their eyes roll and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to sleep now because it's just that good. I wanted people to experience this. So what I started out doing was cooking for friends and like, hey, can I come over and cook for you guys? Like maybe a husband and wife, a boyfriend and girlfriend. And then it expanded to, hey, let me do like a buffet or a family dinner for everybody. And people like, give me your decisions and let me know what you like and what you don't like because everybody's palate is different. You're not going to be able to please everybody. Please remember this in life. You can't please everybody. Please yourself. Make yourself happy. That's the most important person. But um, I love everybody eating my food. So I didn't want to just contain it to myself. I wanted everyone else to experience it. And I post my food and people look at it and be like, oh my God, this looks delicious. I wish I can have some. And I was like, well, actually you can because I can cook for you for a small fee. And that's how it all started. And then when I really got into it, one of my friends, I used to act with him in LA when I lived in LA. He hit me up. He said, hey, can you come to Chicago? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll cook for you. It was for him and his girlfriend. A couple days beforehand, he's like, oh, yeah, there's like 10 more people. And then I found out I was cooking for some of the cast of the show Empire. So I was like, So I really had to step my game up. But I was already comfortable who I am. So I got whatever their dietary restrictions are, how they like the temperature in their meats. And I just went out there, had fun, and enjoyed it. Lo and behold, they loved it. And then they hired me. So it's about getting your foot in the door. And I'm glad he was a good friend to get my foot in the door. But you really have to know what you're doing, especially with cooking. I can say I can cook all day, and then I get in front of everyone, and they be like, "Oh, this is garbage." Because when you're cooking and doing any other craft, you really have to show. It's like people, you're giving someone a resume, it looks good on paper, they get in there and they're like, "Oh, you can't really do the job." But when you get in there and then you excel because you trained, you studied, however you did it, you made it happen. And then people are pleased with your food and then you just spread from there. So from there, I just started cooking for everybody, cook for friends. Every time I go to my parents' house, I try to cook for them because they're one of my biggest supporters because sometimes I didn't have enough money to do this or that, but they supported me all the way. So if you have that goal, if you want to make that transition, then we make it happen.
So, what advice do you have for young students who are watching today who are interested in restaurants and cooking? What should they do? How should they start?
I would definitely say, huh, look at these cooking shows. I look at cooking shows all the time, or look up different recipes, or talk to your parents or your teacher, be like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And it'd be great if they give you that knowledge or where to get that knowledge to do it. But get in the house or like, mom, I want to cook with you. Dad, I want to cook for you, with you, or even friends. But find a way to just to get out there and cook and study and learn these flavors. See if you want. And this is what I had to find out too. I love cooking, but I don't love cooking in restaurants all the time. I love being a private chef. You have to find your lane and your space of what you want to do. So if you want to do sweets, you want to do like baking, or do you want to do savory dishes, you have to figure out what you want to do. But go through all of it, the multitude of both of them, baking, the sweets, the salty, all that stuff. Go through it and figure out what you like. But the knowledge is out there. Google it. Just go on, like I said, YouTube, Instagram, because they have the recipes on there. And if you can read or you can follow instructions, then you can cook something. Some people say I can't cook. It's not that they can't cook. They probably don't want to cook. If you can just follow an instruction, then you can get it done. Because there's different ways to cook things now. You have stovetop, you can bake it. There's air fryers. If you want to be an air fryer chef, yes, people just do everything in air fryers. You can do that too. It's the possibilities are endless. I've worked in kitchens that didn't have stoves. It's only thing they had were like a pizza oven, and I made pancakes in there, made steaks in there. It's about use what you have. You don't have to get all this expensive equipment or anything at first. Just use what you have, and then go from there. Let me tell you, when I was a kid, I loved biscuits. Um, We had these radiator heaters in the bedrooms. One day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this little biscuit mix and put it on my heater, and I did. And it wasn't clean. The heater wasn't, but it made the biscuit because it was heat. It was in the winter time. And did I eat it? Yes, I did eat it. I think that's why my immune system is a little bit better. But just coming up with these ideas and be like, all right, I want to do this, but make sure it's okay to be in the kitchen with your parents. Let them know I want to do this, and they will guide you. Because I watched some of these shows like Chopped Junior, um, all these other cooking shows that kids are in, and they are phenomenal. They do stuff that I can't do because it's what they wanted to do, and it's good to have that encouragement and that backing behind you when you want to do these things. But these kids are amazing these days, and they're going to be amazing chefs. And if that's what you want to do, you're going to be amazing at whatever you want to do. It's all about putting in the work and studying and making it happen and then executing everything that you've learned.
Well, Chef Eric Marshall, thank you so much, not only for cooking for us today and showing us that that was really doable, but for sharing your wisdom and your insights and your story. We have shared with our audience your website so they can find out more about you. And I do want to remind everybody that ongoing today, as part of Education Day for the African American Cultural Celebration, is live storytelling until 2:30 p.m. today. You can find out about that at nc-aacc.com and watch live storytelling. And also, please come to the museum if you're able to in downtown Raleigh on Saturday, where Chef will be here again
I
presenting
will
in
be.
person. You can meet and talk with him at the 22nd Annual African American Cultural Celebration. Thank you so much, Chef. We're so grateful to you.
Thank you, everybody. Come see me Saturday.